All right, welcome to day 25. And we got Mark 6, and we're reading from Mark 6 to Luke 15. If your favorite kind of movie is like me, it's like action, then you're going to enjoy Mark. Mark it's a ride. And, it is rumored that Mark is written first. In theology, they call this Markan priority. And it's the idea that Mark wrote first, and then Matthew's looking at Mark, and then Luke is looking at Mark. These are called the synoptic gospels because they kind of have the same angle. John is kind of out doing his own thing. 90% of the material in John is unique to John. But these three guys, they got Mark first. And Mark is rumored to be Peter's gospel. Mark is a contemporary of Peter, or a travel companion of sorts. He's like Peter's court stenographer. And the idea is that Peter's like at the pub and he's telling people all these crazy stories about Jesus. And Mark is furiously writing these stories down on bar napkins. And these little stories are called pericope. And so eventually Mark's got like 50 napkins and he's like, I'm going to put all these napkins together. And that's kind of the idea of the assembly of the book of Mark. It's just Peter telling these crazy stories. He's writing them down. The word immediately is used like 42 times in the book of Mark. Everything's always just, it's action, action, action immediately. There's no birth story. Nobody's got time for that. It's just like, boom, Jesus is healing people. And Mark kind of ends on a bummer note. It's not like as victorious and triumphant as Luke or John. Jesus is sort of like, as immediately as his disciples gathered to him and left their nets, that's as immediately as they bail on Jesus, which is sort of what happened with Peter. And so Peter's pretty brutal on himself. In fact, in Mark, Peter's recounting of the story, I noticed this the other day when I was reading it. He goes like a step further. So like the other narrators are like, yeah, Peter denied Jesus to this 12-year-old girl. But Peter's like, I invoked a curse on myself, and I'm like swearing and I'm cussing. And we're like, whoa, calm down, bro. He really shows the psychology of what's happening there. He makes himself look really bad, which is pretty cool.
Hi, I hope you're enjoying this thread, but I wanted to take a moment to tell you about Theos Seminary, where we offer certificates, bachelor's, and master's in biblical studies, and all at a really low price point because we believe that you should be able to get a Bible degree without breaking the bank. In fact, our certificate programs are $999, and our bachelor's and master's start at $99 a month. Our program is subscription-based, which means you can pause and stop at any time because we know that life happens. And perhaps my favorite part is the fact that we have an incredible student life community where our students get sorted into 4 houses. It's so much fun. We have competitions, in-person meetups, online events, student unions. It's phenomenal. So we would love to have you a part of that community. If you're at all interested, shoot me an email before February 1st. I will waive your enrollment fee. It's Brittany@theosseminary.com. I would love to meet you, answer any questions that you might have, and we would be so honored to have you at Theos Seminary. Come join us.
And so Mark kind of ends on a cliffhanger. It's like a little bit, it's like Jesus is the suffering servant. He's alone and he dies alone and it's sad. And then you've got Luke, a great juxtaposition to Mark, because Luke is highly literate and he's a genius and he writes so well. And Peter and Mark are just like, these are the bar stories, where Luke is like, he's got the gargantuan birth story in Luke. You got, Peter's like, in one sentence, he's like, Jesus got tempted by the devil, and then some angels took care of him. Luke's like telling you the whole story of the temptation of Christ. He's going to fill in a lot more, and it's going to be a great story. Now, Luke is the first part of a 2-book series. You got Luke, and then you got Acts. Luke is the author of the book of Acts, and so Luke is the story of Jesus. Acts is the story of the Holy Spirit. And in Luke, if you read Luke and Acts together, you can see that Luke is setting up a sort of beachhead as an explanation of the work of the Spirit, particularly in this in this new community that the Holy Spirit births called the church. And so the book of Acts could be called the book of the Holy Spirit or the book of the church, because the Holy Spirit is the one who kicks off the church party, and he builds the church. And so if you're reading with that in mind, you're going to make so many connections, and you're going to go, "Oh wow, okay, this is amazing how he's setting this up. What is this? Who are these new Christians, and what is their new community all about? What are the things that they believe? What are they motivated by?" So if you have that in mind and you read Luke, you have Acts in mind, you read Luke, you're like, "Oh wow, that's crazy connections." And so there you have it. The Holy Spirit, you'll notice as well in Luke chapter 4, he's a feature in the life of Jesus of Nazareth, right? Like the Spirit leads him. He's baptized in the Spirit. He's led in the Spirit. He's comes out in the power of the Holy Spirit from the wilderness. And then he reads, the scroll in Isaiah, and he says, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He's anointed." Now he's anointed. You see like the 5 levels of the Spirit of God in Luke chapter 4. Well, people like, who is the Holy Spirit? Well, Jesus needed the Holy Spirit. So that's how bad we need the Holy Spirit. And that is day 25.